Hello, everyone. My name is TrupsLP, and this is the Cthulhu-Kin and Friends show. I'm joined, as always, by our ever-gracious Lord Moistness himself, Omegon. Say hello, Omegon.
Sup?
Yeah, that'll do.
I'm all about
Now,
that conversation.
oh, absolutely. That's why we do this every week. We can only stand each other for one day a week.
Yep. Uh,
Actually, I guess that's not true because I dropped in on your Tuesday stream, huh?
oh, did you?
Yeah, remember I jumped in the last like 5-10 minutes.
Honestly, you all sound alike to me.
It was with. Sorry, I just had a stroke.
A southern drawl.
No,
Oh god, another American. Oh god.
no, I'm sorry. I was trying to say Magnus and I coughed.
Well, that's certainly a moment. Oh, I'm gonna put some earphones in because I might be echoing because I see a lot of fucking around on the audio. My end. 1 second. Right. Speak.
Hello.
That's better.
Yes, so there have been plenty of updates this week regarding Brexit, but Meg has been dutiful and streaming every day this week, including today. So
Yeah, okay, so before we get into any of that, I thought I was going to save this for a video, perhaps, but instead, because it's related to last week's stream discussing Brexit chaos and the US shutdown with Trups, I think. Yep. I thought I would address the comment because there are three. One of them points out the other two clearly didn't watch the video, which I think is the case. But I'm going to pull this up. Here we are. So this comment is by David Gemma, who says, "So you're going to be stamping your feet, demanding a no-fault divorce, and expecting everyone else in the EU to agree because mer sovereignty? And if you don't do what I want you to do, nobody can have anything. These topics have become so childish. Sorry when you cancel what is essentially a contract, comma, after sorry, you have to pay for it, and when you want others to fund your campaign promises, you will have to toss them a bone as well. These aren't even complicated or interesting topics anymore, and it's all about virtue signalling to the masses how anti-establishment left you are." Right, so I'm not demanding, and I did not demand in that stream, a no-fault divorce, nor did I demand a no deal as is implied. I stated that with no deal and the deal on the table, those two on the table, I would take no deal. And, by the way, if no deal happens, it has nothing to do with the EU agreeing to it, because they would have already gotten to the point where they could not agree terms, so mer sovereignty isn't a valid argument or question in that respect. And the "if you don't do what I want you to do, nobody can have anything," that is the same logic being used by the very people we have spent 2 years negotiating with. But in the sense of, nobody can have anything because we won't agree a deal. And yes, we are cancelling a contract. I agree. And I also agree that as we are still members, we still pay, as is our duty, under the terms of the original agreements.
I think it's
Go on.
I think it's less like you're canceling a contract and more like you're terminating a membership.
I think they're considering it as the same thing. I think that's what they're thinking of it as.
Sure.
So you want others to fund your campaign promises, you'll have to toss them a bone as well. I agree, which is why I'm fully in support of cross-party cooperation, which is one of the things we are going to be talking about soon. David, hi, Gemma. These aren't complicated or interesting. Actually, they're very interesting, as they are the biggest thing in our politics for at least 40 years. And it's not about virtue signalling to masses about how anti-establishment left I am. I don't think I'm anti-establishment because I support the idea of having a deal to get out of the EU. But as the only options on the table are this deal and no deal, I would support no deal, which is in and of itself a deal. A deal where nothing is agreed. Absolutely nothing. And to be clear, just because no deal happens does not mean we then do not negotiate a deal eventually in the future with the EU anyway, because that's what would happen regardless. It just means there will be no transition period to agree all the minor details that needed to be ironed out before we actually left in 2020. Or was it 2022? 2020. Okay? No deal is the best option on the table compared to the deal Theresa May has tried to get through and failed to get through.
Well, basically, the deal that Theresa May tried to get through was basically like... Well, actually, I quite liked the way that several MPs described it. It was handcuffing yourself and giving the EU the keys.
To the bed.
That was...
Handcuffing yourself to the bed, basically, yeah. But yeah, you get a lot of crap on these streams from people. I never really refute any of it because it's funny to watch you back and forth. I don't mind.
I don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind really either. But this, I think, is aimed at me more because obviously it's EU related. I'm not anti-establishment left. I very much support there being a government. I'm not against many of the constitutional issues. With Brexit, it doesn't come down to my sovereignty. That was used during the referendum, but it's not an argument now. But I do agree that if we're leaving, we must retain our sovereignty. We would do that with no deal compared to the actual deal. Doesn't matter. Fuck it. Let's go back here. Moving on. Sorry, David. Hi, Gemma. But I believe you are wrong on a number of issues, and I thought I'd raise this now because it's interesting. I was scrolling through the comments earlier and saw it this evening, and yeah, it was.
Was there another comment that you wanted to mention from there? You said there were two.
Okay, there were two. The other one actually, no, the other one is aimed at you anyway. It's quite ridiculous putting the pay of those like me at risk because Trump wants to have a temper tantrum about not getting his foolish Lego border wall set. Wouldn't it be amazing if the wall was made of Lego?
Well, I'd like to counter that and say at the same time it's quite ridiculous putting the pay of those like you at risk because the Democrats want to have a temper tantrum because they don't want to shell out $5.7 billion for a wall they already agreed they wanted.
We'll get to that later.
4 years ago.
We will get to it later on.
That.
It's not really something we'll delve into because I figured we'd delve into the aftermath of the last 2 days worth of politics in the UK anyway because it's been interesting.
Yes, let's go into Brexit.
Theresa May has stated that it is not possible to rule out no deal, and the reason she said this is because she wants to open Lego wall. Yes, it's quite amusing. She wants to open talks with other parties, cross-party talks, to find a way to command a majority where her deal gets through the Parliament. That's what she said. She wanted to do it when when was it? Well, it was last night, I think, actually, with a no confidence vote, wasn't it? Yes. And it's a reasonable thing to do. If you can't command the majority, you now need to appease enough people to get it through. That's why your government's still in power, because you managed to get enough people to think you'd be better than Corbyn. But Jeremy Corbyn has outright told his MPs, he's ordered them, right, not to join the Brexit talks. Now, this is pathetic. It's party politics at its best, because he says he wants no deal taken off the table. That's fine, but you need to be at the table first, discussing things.
I also want to point out that if Jeremy Corbyn is advocating for avoiding no deal, we're pretty sure he just doesn't want Brexit at all, correct?
I'm not sure. It would imply it, but he's never outright stated it. This is a problem.
Right. Well, he refuses to answer it.
Well, he was asked at least 5 times about his position on Brexit and whether he supported certain deals, and he never answered. He just doesn't know how to answer. If it's not in his script, he doesn't. And his script, when he was talking about it at a conference in Hastings, he actually messed up the dates on a number of things. On like Brexit, the no confidence, and the record itself, of course.
That's actually quite funny.
He basically he wrote an open letter to Theresa May, and in the open letter he said, I'll put this up on the screen so everyone can see it. After the unprecedented and unnecessary delay to the meaningful vote last month, entering into talks while the clock continues to run down and the threat of a chaotic no deal increases would be a reckless leap in the dark. The Chancellor and the Business Secretary were both open to ruling out no deal in the recent conference call with business leaders. Therefore, on behalf of the Labour Party, I ask you to rule out no deal and to immediately end the waste of hundreds of millions of pounds of public money preparing for a no deal outcome. But this is, it's so silly. You have to prepare for the worst possible eventuality. It's called preparation. It would be so stupid if we didn't prepare, it happened, and we weren't ready for it. Right? Now, of course, he pointed out...
you have to prepare for all eventualities. That's the job.
He's made it... and it's a fair point, to be honest, to say that the money then could be allocated to NHS or to the police. He says here, Labour is open to meaningful discussions, but following the decisive rejection of the government's deal, those cannot be on a basis of your existing red lines. It is clear that no tweaks or further assurances are going to win support for the government's Brexit deal in Parliament. Yeah, it's a case of planning for the worst possible... You want the best to happen, but you've got to be ready. We've made these mistakes before, and it fucked us up. It's prepare, practice, perform kind of nonsense. It's a case of just being sure you're in the right place, and if it doesn't happen, at least you are ready. It's like insurance. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And with Corbyn here, he mentioned the Business Secretary and the Chancellor. So this kind of carries on with other problems that have arisen where 20 of her own ministers, Theresa May's, have threatened to quit if she tries to halt a campaign to stop no deal. Which bugs me. Okay, you want to rule hard Brexit. Nice. If you want a if you don't want no deal, then the only option is the deal. This is the problem. You only have those 2 options. You think there's a third, but it's kind of silly, really, because there is no plan B, even though Theresa May has to come up with another plan. Her plan now, though, is to try and get majority through appeasing people, enough people to vote for her deal. But she needs at least 120 votes to do that. Those votes, by the way, probably roughly the number of MPs that voted against her and voted no confidence in the party, not in Parliament. Do I have a list of the names?
Do you think that's mostly like the Scottish Nationalist Party or things like that? People whose constituents voted leave. Or, I'm sorry, remain.
Sorry?
I was saying, do you think those conservatives who are voting against her are likely remain districts?
Those that vote against her are more than likely leave districts. Interestingly, though, with Labour saying no one was to do it, Hilary Benn, who is very popular in the Labour Party, and Yvette Cooper, both did in fact go for the talks. You have Brexiteers that also went to Whitehall, which included Owen Paterson, David Davis, Steve Baker, Ian Duncan Smith, and Mark Francois. I know Caroline Lucas of the Green Party went, which is good news. It's progress. Oh, and I'm gonna... Where is it? Yes, so here we are. the letter that Jeremy Corbyn sent to all MPs about it. This is the letter he sent to the Parliamentary Labour Party on the subject of attending and or not attending. Thanks for all your fantastic contributions in the Chamber in the last week in both the EU withdrawal debate and the no confidence motion. You lost. Well, one lost the other. This week, we defeated the Tories' EU withdrawal bill by inflicting the biggest ever loss on any sitting government, and I write to thank you for your support and unity. It was the commitment of the whole of the Parliamentary Labour Party that enabled the victory in historic proportions. It shows that we are able to achieve when we are united, and that togetherness is why we have been able to regularly defeat the government on key votes, including the first on a finance bill since 1978. Not a big deal. I didn't think it would win anyway, in the sense that it was to raise taxes in the event of a no deal. That's it. An unprecedented defeat on any government's key piece of legislation would historically be enough to force a general election, and is why we tabled a motion of no confidence in the government. Unfortunately, this was narrowly survived. Very true, it was very close. But it is right that we pursue this, as the people of this country should have the chance to decide which party they want to lead them at this crucial time. If a general election cannot be secured, then we will keep all options on the table, including the option of campaigning for a public vote in line with our conference motion. But you're okay to unironically, hello Princess Crazy Ducks, unironically take no deal off the table. But you want to keep all options on the table. The Labour Party are clear that May's deal is a bad deal for Britain. Labour's alternative Brexit plan is one that prioritises jobs, growth and rights. That is why we have consistently called for a new customs union, with a British say in future trade deals, a strong single market relationship, sigh, and a guarantee to keep pace with EU rights and standards, a deal that could command majority support in Parliament. The Prime Minister has offered to open talks with the opposition parties. However, I have been absolutely clear that any starting point for talks without breaking the Brexit deadlock must be on the provision that the threat of a disastrous no-deal outcome is ruled out. This is a position that has now been adopted by the First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon. I urge colleagues to respect that condition and refrain from engagement with the government until no deal is taken off the table. Interesting to note, Nicola Sturgeon is open to having talks with the Prime Minister. In fact, she has actually said it. Still will work constructively with the UK government. Yeah, the SNP are down to do it. So you've essentially used her to make a point, Nicola Sturgeon here. Yeah, that is a woman. But it's failed because they're actually in favour of working with the government on this. So it doesn't stack up. What do you think, Trups?
Well, actually, I quite liked how Living the Dream pointed out. It says, May didn't win the no confidence. Corbyn lost. He should resign as much, if not more so, than May.
Yeah, you got to admit here, this is actually quite... I don't know if he should resign. He's lost... Actually, weirdly, of the two of them, between May and Corbyn, one of them has survived a vote of no confidence. The other did not. In fact, he didn't win his vote of no confidence at all. But he stayed anyway, because he's a bloody minded fool.
But the other thought that I had was, when I was listening to the debate over either the vote of no confidence or the actual voting on the deal,
yeah,
there seemed to be a whole lot of MPs who, as the opposition usually referred to them as, scaremongering tactics. It's because they consistently say that if we break away from the EU with no deal, our people are going to drop in economic fortitude by 40%. We won't be able to secure food, this, that, and the other. Like,
it's scaremongering. They did it during the referendum.
How does everybody else do it?
They did it during the referendum. They did it then. They do it now. On the subject of how pathetic Corbyn is in this respect, I've got a 30-second video here that didn't get shown during the debate because BBC cut Ian Blackford off. So I'm going to play this video because it's worth it.
Okay.
I can see the Honourable gentleman chuntering if he wishes to intervene and accept his responsibilities. For once, well, you can blow a kiss, but what you're doing is you're blowing a raspberry to the people of the United Kingdom. That's the reality, and it really is about time. If you're serious about politics, if you're serious about responsibility, then grow up. Grow up and accept responsibility, and don't dodge this.
That is a direct shot at Jeremy Corbyn. It was cut. It was cut. I don't know why. It's such a good one. He's basically told to get off the fence because he hasn't put a solid Brexit opinion across. But also in the context, he was told to go because he hasn't given a solid position on a second Brexit referendum. Oh, the one that blew him a kiss wasn't Corbyn. That was the... Oh, who was it? What's his name? Oh, the Shadow Trade Secretary, that's it. Barry Gardner.
Yeah.
But all of this has happened, and the one thing that that stood out, that bugged me the most, was that Tony Blair, our former Premier of 10 years... The one who promised that things would only get better, had a song and a cringy advert for it, which I can't show because we'd be instantly copyright claimed. Such cringe, you have no idea. But this guy won so many... He won 3 general elections, Tony Blair did. He was untouchable. But he did so much bad work. And the illegal warfare crap, oh my god. But he has outright called Corbyn out for snubbing the offer of Brexit talks. He pointed out that it was wrong to snub them because this is a moment of national crisis, and he was quoted as saying on a Radio 4 Today programme, which I can't play because fuck that. If in a moment of national crisis the Prime Minister asks the leader of the opposition to come and talk, of course he should. Corbyn's described this whole thing as a stunt, but I disagree. We have, what, 70 days left?
Before, what, the March date?
Yeah, we have, I don't know how many it is now. It's probably 71, 72 days left or something. We don't have long left. Now is the time, to talk. To prove it, to make, I don't know, it's so... To make demands but not be at the table to make the demands is silly. You're setting terms for a discussion amongst your peers. And so surely you'd go there. And if you wanted to contribute, you contribute. If you can't agree, then what's the point?
And not only that, but he doesn't even have an official opinion on the whole thing. So who is he to now say that, the Tory party isn't doing their job correctly because they can't deliver on a Brexit that they promised? Well, Corbyn, what the fuck do you believe?
Okay,
Say it out loud so that everybody...
Let's just dig the nail in a bit here on Corbyn. I do feel I don't want to do this too much, but Labour MP Mike Gapes put out a tweet where he said, apparently Corbyn is prepared to hold talks with Hamas, Hezbollah, Assad and Iran without preconditions, but not with the UK Prime Minister. Why? It's all well and good people saying they'll do these things without preconditions, by the way, but most of them will bottle it anyway and have preconditions. I know Obama said he'd do it with North Korea, but he was a senator at the time just trying to make a name for himself.
That, and honestly, when he was in presidency, he had a bit of a housing crisis to deal with, so not that he didn't have the chance to do anything about North Korea, he opted not to, because it was easier just to put heavy sanctions.
Yeah. Caroline Lucas, the Green Party MP that went to Downing Street, did say that Mrs May repeated her argument that the only way to take no deal off the table was by passing the deal. I believe keeping no deal on the table is a way to try to blackmail MPs and would be catastrophic for the country. Actually, in this instance, it's a very strong negotiating card. Because MPs, if no deal's gone, then they'll then start to take liberties and say, right, This is what we should change. We stay in the customs union and the single market, but we're not members anymore, even though we'll continue to pay $13 billion a year to them as if we were members, and we won't get a rebate. That's what a lot of them will say. It's tragic. Tony Blair also featured because he also said that Theresa May's Brexit deal isn't a deal, it's a political contrivance. Contrivance?
I have never heard that word spoken, so I don't know. You're looking it up now.
I'm looking up the sound.
Contrivance.
There we go. Contrivance. I just went to get the phonetic.
And now I've learned today, and everyone else here has this.
Right. It was in the context of the deal being rejected. It's nice to see Tony Blair more involved in politics again. Thank you, chat.
Yeah, apparently they looked it up faster than we could.
Yeah, they did. What I think is brilliant, there was another video I wanted to show. It's just 52 seconds long, and it was there was a Brexiteer who made a claim about Tony Blair. So I'm going to play this.
Well, Tony Blair's our best recruiting tool. Every time he opens his mouth, the more and more people come to the Brexit cause, which is marvellous. He can go on spouting as much as he wants. And as for the people's vote, we've had one. And as I said in a recent interview to one of your other colleagues the other day, how many do we have? Let's do 3. Let's do 9. Where do we stop? If we had another one, which is impossible to do within the time limit anyway, and let's say for sake of argument, the Remainers won. Okay, 1-1. We must have another one because that's the fairest way of doing it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like having a national an election. You get the party you don't want. Oh, we don't want the Conservative Party again. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we've got to have another election. No, that's not the way democracy works.
Yeah, which is quite irritating. I have to admit, Tony Blair being involved in politics does have the guarantee to get everyone else to vote against because of him. And I had never heard the word spoken either, so I had to check. Yeah, I know. A posh twat who has never heard that word. I know, weird. It's like the first time I saw the word subtle spelt, it confused the fuck out of me.
Yeah, the first time, definitely. It's like, how do I... Subtle? What is this? There's a lot of words like that in the English language. In American English and in British English.
Yeah. There was another thing that cropped up with Tony Blair that I wanted to finish on. Where is it? John Humphreys, a radio presenter now, he confronted Tony Blair on Corbyn about the Brexit positions. Where is it? Where is it? He said that he doesn't know what to say about him. He doesn't know what to say about it. He was left. John Humphrey said to him, "But if we don't know what his position is, then it's difficult for us to make a judgment. All we know is he wants an election, and that's it. Full stop." You are nodding at that, with Blair just finishing with, "I don't know what to say," and that's actually a really important point. If you want to now go into a general election against Theresa May, we know her position on Brexit because her deal's on the table. But it's it's not a case that you can do that against someone else who says they'll do a better job, even though the EU has said it's not happening. They can't extend Article 50. People keep saying we should. You can't because a deal has already been has already been put on the table. It only happens when it doesn't. When there's no deal on the table. There is a deal on the table. It's really silly. Is the S or C silent in sent? I thought it was the C that was silent. Doesn't matter.
Could be.
All in all,
the
Brexit stuff's amusing. I will link everything related to Brexit down in the comments description. Below. As far as I'm concerned, there is one last bit about it. I guess I could mention. Many MPs believe that even though she survived a vote of no confidence within her party, even though her deal was voted down, even though she's lost many times in Parliament, and even though she survived a vote of no confidence in Parliament, Many believe that because of how weak she looks, because of how many times she's been defeated and torn down, that the only way to secure anything now would be to have another general election, some believing this could happen within the next 2 months. I don't want that to happen.
Whatever happens with your shit, like, somebody needs to get something rolling. So apparently there's enough people that says Theresa May can do something. We don't know what, but we know it's definitely not that shit that she tried to present before.
Yeah.
So race to the finish, bitch, because you're on borrowed time.
Yeah. The problem is with this and how close we are to the end of the entire negotiating period, I just don't know what to think anymore about this. But I'm sure.
Why it's kind of a game.
Yeah, I'm sure things will get clearer. I don't know how the government's going to proceed. This is all going to be happening behind closed doors, trying to get enough votes to get it through the House, because they'll have to have another vote. And it'll either be on the deal on the table, or some magical plan B, bribing every MP with unicorn and tears or something. Odds of a no-deal Brexit? I just don't know. I really wish I could give you something, Serene. Anyway, should we move over to the main subject of today's stream and let you take the floor?
I sent you the web archive version of the USA Today because they want me to pay for them, and I told them to fuck.
Right, give me a sec, I'll open it. It's taking its time. Do you want to give some kind of intro to it?
Yes, so I'm sure you guys have noticed the thumbnail for this video is our Lord and God Emperor Trump standing before a glorious bounty of McDonald's, Wendy's, Domino's, and Burger King.
Is that what that was?
Yes, it was about to be. Thank you, Anne. I wanted to see Trumps perform. Thank you. Anyway, that glorious bounty was for the Clemson Tigers.
Who are they?
Whom I have they are the national champions of college football this year.
All right.
I have a personal beef with the Clemson Tigers, but that's another story entirely. It comes from, similar conferences having little bits of rivalries, and that is an understatement. Anywho's, the White House invited the Clemson Tigers for a feast, and unfortunately, because of the government shutdown, the White House did not have a catering service to provide the typical food.
Oh, I did wonder why it was all this. I forgot about that.
So Trump decided to pay out of pocket for a little over $1,000 worth of fast food for the Clemson Tigers.
Dude, I bet he had some of that himself as well.
Oh, I can't imagine he did not. But this image is just a wonderful, like just everything America right now, right?
Oh, and two Princess
Silver
Crazy Locks
platter.
and a drink. Sorry about that. I was drinking from a bottle. Carry on, sorry.
It was just this lovely American image of just the president and saying, "Ah, yes, please feast at my table of this American cuisine."
You mean the image I have on the screen now?
Well, I'm sorry?
I have the image on the screen now.
Yeah, exactly. And that one and the thumbnail. But
well, yes.
But obviously this came with a bunch of controversy because I mean, it's so cartoony. Like, no one actually ever believed such a thing could happen. And it was glorious to watch just everyone freak out, the media especially. But something interesting happened, and even Tim Pool commented on this when the news first broke, that a lot of people ended up criticizing Donald Trump. I think Sargon did a video on this as well, actually, now that I think about it. I think so. And there was more to it that I wanted to go with. They said that, or Trump said that this was food that we all like, and by we all like he means Americans.
Do I see Twinkies on the table?
Perhaps
on the left side next to the burgers.
Maybe.
I can't tell. The resolution's not good. There's a lot of salad there. I'll give them that.
Yeah, at least there's that. Yeah, I mean the players had a great time. Now, the quote that has been attributed to the Clemson QB has been proven incorrect, but he did disprove it, but also add to it that he had a great time regardless. Like, he said the White House visit was awesome.
I'll be honest. Okay, so, yeah, politics has gotten in the way here to the point where food has had to be brought in and somebody else has paid for it themselves, no less. I think, yeah, okay, you might want, you're going to see the White House, maybe you do expect some kind of banquet. But I'll be honest, given the choice between filet mignon and triple extra large triple bacon double cheeseburger or something, I'd probably go with that. You know?
And honestly, like, okay, you're a football player. You've been on a strict regimented diet for the entire
high protein
season.
Diet.
You just fucking won. All right, cool. I'm digging into something that I'm not supposed to have right now because fuck you guys. I won. At least that's how I would think if I was an athlete.
After you've been on a high protein diet for a while, it'll be nice to have, some plastic cheeseburger.
Just carb coma.
Yeah, a nice carbs. You feel so refreshed, by the way. Was I rolling a cigarette? Did I do something that would imply that? I don't smoke.
No, I think you were playing with the label.
I did sort of scratch my beard. I don't know. I think... Oh, did I play with the label? Probably. Yeah, I think... I did see some of this, by the way, but obviously I was a bit preoccupied with other pressing stuff. To me, if you get invited to the leader of your country's, let's say, house, for the sake of it, you get invited to that place, one of the most powerful buildings in the world, and they put food on the table that is kind of at your level, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
right?
It's just nice that somebody would do that. And obviously we know Trump eats McDonald's. He loves that shit, doesn't he?
Well, it's a very blue collar thing. Like, so this was the point that I was getting at. This is very, very blue collar worker, and the reason I say that is because, so you go to a president who is supposed to be a man of the people, a man of the working man, and he presents to you on the silver platter, the most expensive foie gras and caviar and ribeye steaks and whatnot. That doesn't quite fit the bill, does it?
But on the silver platters, he has plastic cased salads.
Yeah, well, maybe silver
and stacks of
caviar actually wouldn't mix.
And stacks of Wendy's. What are they? Paninis or something?
Yes, they are.
I didn't know that either. I just took a fucking guess because of the length. Fuck. I'm going to have to try some of those one day.
But, like, the point was, a lot of people, the media, started criticizing the fact that he gave McDonald's. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, the article that I have here is that 4 celebrities decided that they wanted to virtue signal and say,
USA Today,
we should bring Clemson to a quote-unquote real champions dinner.
Yeah. Okay, so did you want to go through each one of these people? Because I don't know who they are.
Yeah, okay, so Michael Strahan at number 1.
Oh, I know who he is.
Yeah, he's a
Hall
Hall
of Famer. The gap in his teeth.
Yeah. And he says, whoever can make it, we'll hook you up with lobster, whatever you want, we're going to take care of you. We're going to give you the proper meal that you deserve because that was one great game, a great accomplishment.
Lol.
I mean, okay, whatever. Ayesha Curry, a successful chef and wife of Steph Curry, a basketball player, has 2 barbecue restaurants, one in San Francisco and one in Houston, and a cookbook. So she'd surely serve something spectacular.
Yeah, but if it's not as good as Pow Wow Chow, then no one cares.
I was surprised that Elizabeth Warren didn't say, I'll give you some of that grandma's Pow Wow Chow.
Oh, Pow Wow Chow.
Waldo is apparently a Migos rapper. I don't quite care for rap in general.
I don't know who that is. It's an interesting name.
Yeah, definitely. But he says, I want to show Clemson Tigers and POTUS, President of the United States, how champs are supposed to be treated. Y'all welcome. Oh, hold on.
Never
Archive
expect
is
nor
freaking.
demand respect. And that's what he's expecting and demanding that the team be treated with. They are being treated with
Yeah.
respect, by the way. They even admitted that. You are virtue signaling. Quite funny.
And then finally, Nick Kokonis.
I thought his last name. I thought it was Cock on Ass.
Yeah, I mean, we can give him cock on ass. That's fine.
Cock on Ass.
Yeah, sure. He apparently invited us to Chicago and says, I could care less about college football, but I'm personally inviting the Clemson Tigers team and coaches to Chicago to experience what an actual celebration dinner should be. I'm not joking. Someone let them know what the Alinea group does. It'll be worth it. Now, okay, so this one is the worst virtue signaler, in my opinion, because he says outright he doesn't care about college football.
Yeah, that is genuine virtue. Oh, and what an actual
Right.
dinner, a celebration dinner should be. Oh,
Like,
if you've been watching
in my
it,
opinion, Quavo and Michael Strahan actually cared.
Strahan,
so Strahan,
should.
because he's a Hall of Famer, and Quavo, I only know that he cared because he wrote #GoDogs, which means he's a Bulldog, a Georgia fan. Same conference.
Right.
So, looking at all these people, isn't this like the worst kind of classist behavior ever, or is it just me that is feeling?
I don't know, really, because it's other people judging. It is a class thing, actually. You know, you're right, because that is actually what I was going to say. You're judging a situation and basing it on how
Cost.
you think they. Yeah, Trump could have gotten the other food, but actually, if I think about it, don't. Isn't there like an incredibly high security thing on the kind of foods that are near the president or go through, in that kind of context? Say he was around.
Not necessarily.
I've heard about
because
So go on.
I don't think theoretically they would know that it's going directly to the president. So I don't think they would.
I
necessarily have to
don't
worry
know
about-
how he would do it without importing a bunch of chefs and having everything pre-screened and stuff.
I mean, I'm sure there was some kind of process, but that might be classified information.
I'll be honest. At short notice, I think this is actually okay. And you got to think they were still happy anyway, so I'd assume they were entertained.
At the very least. Also, to respond to Cake, sure. Trups, do you think the shutdown is a trap laid by the Trump administration? I think that he started it that way. I don't know if it's gonna keep going like that, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But I do think this is like terrible classist behavior because, all the late night liberal comedians were shitting on the whole thing. They were saying that making jokes basically at the expense of how little it costs, and Trump paid out of his own money, and he could only afford a bunch of Big Macs. Well, the guy hasn't taken a salary since he entered into office.
That's a point, because he really can rub that into people's faces. I'm doing a job for free.
And they have been liquidating all of his assets and foreclosing and forcing him to close down his fucking business. So yeah, he's deciding to pay out of pocket for this because he wanted to.
Hang on,
Sure,
has he had to
theoretically.
foreclose?
Sorry.
He had to foreclose?
There was one of his charities that a judge ordered him to dissolve.
Okay.
The Trump Foundation was forced to dissolve, kind of like how the Clinton Foundation works, but the Trump Foundation.
Right. I thought that works as a way of
happened
embezzling
in
Russian
November.
money. My mistake.
But I find it a wonderful example of how the liberals like to say that they are the party of the people.
Bye, Neela.
They are the working man's party. Sure, they used to be. But as it stands right now, almost all democratic states make more than the rural states. So think California, New York, Washington, Oregon. Do you think they make the same as Utah or Nebraska? Probably not. So the fact that the people who sit upon their ivory towers would scoff down at this kind of food really shows a lot of we'll call it internalized bigotry.
Or perhaps they think that going to the White House means foie gras and lamb mignon, you know, and some Kobe beef.
Yeah, yo, Kobe beef is amazing.
I know. And the vegetarian option being, well, getting to the other side of the door.
Rogaine lettuce.
Rogaine lettuce. Oh my god, that's brilliant.
Sorry.
That if that worked, I'm sure Trump would be eating that every day.
Yeah.
Or rubbing it on his head.
I'm glad you got the joke.
We call it regain over here.
Yes, good.
But I knew what it was because someone else had told me.
But besides from that, obviously the shutdown has continued.
Yes.
And there have been a bit of, you know, back and forths. If you want to pull up the AP article.
AP, here
So,
we go.
Yes. So Trump denies Pelosi aircraft for planned trip abroad. So as of recently, Trump is supposed to give the State of the Union address in about 2 weeks. No, less than 2 weeks now.
Oh,
And
the State of the
government is
Union.
still shut down. Oh yeah.
Considering how well last year's was received, this will be interesting.
Well, it was received quite well. I mean, okay, I'm getting it confused with the UN speech where he got laughed at. So I'm going to hold that thought. But it's important for him to address it, especially now at the midst of the government shutdown. However, Nancy Pelosi has stated that he should not perform the State of the Union address as normal while the government is shut down. She wants him to postpone it until after the government is reopened or submit the written State of the Union to Congress.
Okay.
This is fucked up because the State of the Union is one of the most important political stages for a president.
Yeah, but this is party politics here. If you have a chance to fuck someone up, you're going to do it.
Now, she cited security concerns.
That's not down to
saying
her.
that, well, you know, with the Secret Service, you know, being not fully paid, we can't expect them to have a fully secure environment. Director of Homeland Security, Kristen Nielsen, immediately clapped back and says, oh no, the Secret Service will make sure that every room in there is secure. We make sure to protect those who serve our country, and we thank them for it. I'm like, damn, fuck you, fuck everything you believe in, it's great.
In the chat I saw that, according to the media, we're witnessing the end of Trump's presidency. Is that the case?
They have been saying that since he got elected.
Yeah, I'd need some proof. I don't really... Obviously, recently I haven't paid as much attention, but I am skeptical.
But it's bad. However, after the director came out and said that, Nancy Pelosi says, I don't care what they have to say. Literally quoted, she does not care what they have to...
That is simply a case of, you know... You want to do
putting
this.
your hands against your ears and going la 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 la. I'm not listening.
That basically is what it is. It's quite pathetic, to be honest.
So this party politics thing is going way far, and it's just the leaders, by the way. It's just the leaders who are engaging in this shit. It's Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi versus Mitch McConnell and Trump. Everyone else is like, can we maybe get off this for a second? I mean, there are many people who are seriously just like, I'd rather this just be done with. We're upset. So much so that NBC News article. So much so that during the shutdown, some lawmakers are refusing pay in solidarity with federal workers.
Lol. It's good, good though at the same time, you know, solidarity, but lol at the same time.
Well, okay, so it's a little bit more complicated.
How so?
So okay, so our 27th Amendment says that Congress cannot not be paid for basically the work that they do. Not verbatim, obviously, but that's the general feeling. So if they get paid on back pay, that's one thing. Some, if you scroll down to underneath the large play button face,
yeah,
a Democratic senator from Maryland, I think he's senator, yeah, Senator
Van Hollen.
Yes, he says, I have instructed the Senate dispersing, office to treat me like any other federal employee, at least the 800,000 who are not getting paid right now. So I will not be getting my pay during this period of the government shutdown. Okay.
Out of curiosity, and I have been meaning to ask this last week, you mentioned back payments earlier. Will those who had not been paid so far get a back payment?
Yes, they will.
Oh, thank fuck for that.
The problem is when people live paycheck to paycheck, that back pay isn't good enough.
Yeah, hand-to-mouth is not a good existence for anyone.
No, it's not, but it is a sad fact of the matter that a lot of people do live in that kind of situation.
I'm sure Trump understands that totally.
I think he understands it more than the Democrats do.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I was just making a joke because he's a billionaire.
Well, the other thought is, like, right, so the whole concept of the wall is to protect those within the United States,
agree.
at least on paper. The Democrats say that we should not have a wall. Okay. They also have been on record over, the last 3 or 4 years advocating for sanctuary cities, increased immigration, increased acceptance of refugees. So it's kind of interesting to see them start trying to pretend that they care about the American people and their paychecks when they would rather shell out taxpayer money to fund refugees and illegal immigrants.
By the way, in the article is Dan Crenshaw requesting his pay be withheld, his actual congressional letter, and I've got it on the screen now for everyone to see. I thought everyone would enjoy looking at a piece of actual, stoof.
Now he's a Texas senator, and I believe he is actually a Republican as well. I believe he was a former military man, and that's why he lost his eye.
He did put here in the letter, our national security is at stake, operating with both weak borders and a weakened federal infrastructure. So he recognises the weak borders part.
Right, so that makes me think that at least he's on board with conversation. I believe he is a Republican, though, so... Now, what's interesting is that there were a couple representatives who actually tried to pass a law in earlier January. It's called the No Government, No Pay Act. I'm pulling up the GovTrack. So it was... Get the fuck out. It was sponsored originally by Richard Nolan, representative from Minnesota's 8th Congressional... I'm sorry, this is the 2007. Apparently, they've tried this before, and it's never worked.
Oh, and he's a Republican, by the way, the guy, Crenshaw. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to find this thing. Ah, here it is. The No Work, No Pay Act. It was Senator Steve Daines from Montana, and it was joined by Republican Senator John Cornyn. And basically, it is that no congressional person can get paid while the government is shut down.
Right.
Now that would be, in my opinion, the single greatest, like, no BS law that this Senate has put into, place. And of course, they've only been in for what, some 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Right.
But if they were to actually enact this whole thing, man, would that would show quite a bit of solidarity, especially the fact that it's being pushed by Republicans. Oh, the government shut down. We don't want the pay. Hold it for us. We'll get paid later, so it's not in violation of the 27th Amendment. But hold it until we figure this shit out.
Well, here,
now you notice
the word withheld was in Crenshaw's letter, which is a key word, I think.
Right. The interesting part is that ended up getting approved originally, and then it was pushed by Pelosi to the appropriate committee, and that's where it's kind of been since. But originally, it was not. There were two very interesting individuals who voted nay on that bill. Can you guess who they were?
I'm just so tempted to say Nancy and Schumer.
Well, not Schumer, because he's in the Senate. It was Nancy and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, Cortez! I never would have thought about her, actually.
She did not want to withhold her pay.
She had been moaning about not receiving a paycheck, so it doesn't surprise me.
Oh, boo-hoo. She voted that she wanted to keep her money, but she didn't want to pass a wall bill.
I did see, and this was quite amusing, a bunch of people jumped over the wall to Pelosi's mansion, demanding they be given asylum to her home.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? It was those assholes. I love them so much.
It made me chuckle. It was a bit silly, but chuckle at the same time.
It's those underground reporters who always get the people to admit shit. I forget what their name is.
You can't really say you're down with the poor people while living in a mansion.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they brought 2 illegals. Like they straight up were like, "Hey, are you documented?" No. All right, cool. Come with us.
Oh dear God.
And they went to fucking Nancy Pelosi's property and set up a tent that said immoral.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me, right?
And then they had them escorted out by police. It was glorious. But anyway, the AP article is basically Trump denying Pelosi's aircraft for a trip to the Middle East. Egypt, Brussels, weird that that's a part of that. Egypt, Brussels, and Afghanistan. Trump argues that it's not, there's government workers not working. You can fly commercial. We can't be spending money on you to have a private plane.
It's understandable. But then at the same time, it falls in line with if Nancy Pelosi did vote against withholding pay, then it makes sense that she'd want, these perks.
Oh yeah, well she wants to be, still her same self as she tries to fuck up the rest of.
It does seem to fall in line with the idea that party politics is that's the mentality. We're just going to vote against you because reasons.
Does she, Prospero? Prospero says she owes Juncker a drink, hence Brussels. Oh, yeah. But what pisses me off is that recently the Democrats, over the past weekend, so this last weekend, a lot of them went on a retreat to Puerto Rico. And there's a picture of New Jersey Senator, I believe his name is Mike Mendoza, shirt off with a bathing suit on, talking to a woman and appearing to stare directly into her boobs, by the way. Let me find that for you.
You find that. Let's see some of that male privilege.
Oh no, sorry. Mike Mendoza is another person in my head. What the fuck was I thinking? Mike Mendoza. Somebody kill me. What am I thinking? Oh, he's Puerto Rican. That's why. I'm the worst.
Yep.
That's so good of me.
I don't know what to say to this.
Yeah, well, hang on. I'm trying to find the actual the picture of New Jersey senator. It was on fucking all of Fox News, so I'm surprising. Oh wait, hang on.
TrupsLP thinks all Puerto Ricans are sex pests, it would appear. Yes, he does.
Bob Menendez. That's his motherfucking name. God damn it.
Bob
It was
Menendez.
close.
Yeah, I saw it in the
and
chat.
by the way, Cthulhu-Kin, I'm Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I was about to say, so yeah, they are sex pests.
So yeah.
He is confirming it, everyone.
Is it racist if I'm racist towards my own race?
Yes, totally. Because you're...
Oh, I found a picture.
Found it. Link it. Gibbs link.
I has here.
Sweet.
I'm sorry. Look at that. Takumi, I guess.
Let's zoom in a bit more. There we go.
Okay, come on, tell me. Okay, all right. In my best former New Jersey accent, it just looks like he's saying, "Now look at those tits. Look at them. They're fantastic. They just look at it. That's literally this guy. He just looks like the worst fucking human being."
That is obviously that's probably not what happened at all. It's just the best, pause face kind of moment. Because then it just looks hugely inappropriate, like he's about to cup somebody.
Great. I know, it's great. It's just, look at those bazonkas, I swear to God. Also, Cthulhu, yes, I do. I have a lawn.
Amazing.
Dear God. It's so good. But this is what... Yes, he is. He is corrupt as fuck. This isn't the first scandal or compromised position he's ever been found in. God damn it! I love this picture so much.
Oh, it's very well captured moment. It could be out of context. I don't know.
Oh, it probably is, but it definitely doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to you.
This is what they were doing. This is what they were doing last weekend, and Trump was still in DC, still working on trying to fix the government. So it's like fucking Mendoza. I was about to say it again. Menendez. He's fucking staring at tits while Trump is... I'm losing my fucking mind. Well, Trump is actually trying to fix the government. This is... I mean, it's not looking good for liberals.
So what day on the shutdown are we on now?
I think we're on 20... Oh, God, 26? 24?
Okay. Okay. Well, let's hope within a week things improve.
Toyota. Trups and I once made love as we were smuggled across the border. Then my 15 minutes were up and I kicked his ass out of the car.
He's just a...
I'm not Mexican. I swim across. I don't run across or drive a car. There's water in the way.
Right.
He's negotiating a price.
Is there anything else on the subject of the shutdown that you wanted to discuss?
No, but there was one other like hard turn that I want to make, and it was the situation in Syria real quick.
Okay, go for it.
So yesterday a ISIS militant detonated an explosive vest near a US patrol in a Kurdish town, and it ended up killing 2 US soldiers and 2 civilians. it is, in any other circumstance, I would say that this is going to keep our men in a country where they don't belong. But I don't think so with this administration. I think this is going to be more fuel to say this is why our people should not be there. This is not our fight. We've lost 4 lives that didn't need to die. And I think Trump is going to continue pulling out the rest of the military from Syria because of this. And some people have even dared to try and say that, oh, Trump wanted to end the mission because ISIS was defeated, but clearly ISIS isn't defeated. It's like, no, how dare you? You can't become the warmongering fucking 2001 Republicans after that. After they die, you can't start becoming the fucking warmongers that you hate so much. Absolutely not. Not after people who didn't have to die gave their lives. No, I refuse to believe that.
Yeah. Well, that's frustrating, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, as we've come to the end, is there anything you'd like to shill before we finish?
I should be putting out a video tomorrow about a couple of other interesting things that Democrats have fucked up this week. So
Ooh.
if you want, my channel link is in the description box. Feel free to subscribe that. Other than that, Omegon, do you have any?
I will try and record tomorrow morning if I can find my motivation. If not, I will be streaming on the Omegon Plays channel tomorrow evening. Otherwise, no, nothing else to stream to shill, really.
All right.
So, yeah, I think we're done. Thank you all for joining, everyone. Say good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night.